Dr. Josh Axe is a prominent figure in the Christian health and wellness community, recognized for his holistic approach to healing and his faith-based perspective on natural living. He's gained prominence through his website, books, and social media platforms, where he educates millions on holistic wellness, herbal remedies, and healthy living practices.
Dr. Josh Axe is well known for the health advice he gives through books, TV, and a new podcast. He's passionate about helping people heal and prevent illness. In a new book, Dr. Axe deals with the mental side of wellness. He says a healthy mindset can dramatically improve our lives. In Think This, Not That, Dr. Axe shares his own struggle with negative beliefs and how we all can overcome them.
Well, I want to welcome Dr. Josh Axe, if I can get the words out, to 700 Club Interactive. Thank you so much for being with us. So you have this new book, Think This, Not That. Can you tell us about the book? What motivated you to write it?
Yeah, you know, one of the things I realized in writing this book is I wanted to write a book that was what I believe the most powerful form of medicine in the world, and it was mindset medicine. You know, when I used to take care of patients full-time in my functional medicine practice, I would sometimes know immediately if they would see results or not based on their mindset and beliefs coming into sitting down as a patient. Because I would have a group of people, I'll give you an example, and I would go through their diet diary, what they were eating on a daily basis, and I would make recommendations. And I would tend to get two responses. So with one group, I would say, hey, you're better off not eating this. Here's some food you should eat. And some of them would say, oh, I can't believe you're saying I shouldn't eat this. And there was sort of a really negative mindset about it. And then there were a group of people saying, well, this sounds great. You're telling me I can do a strawberry smoothie for breakfast, and I can do this and this and still have a lot of the foods I love and eat dark chocolate and everything else. And they believed, the other thing is they believed that they were going to heal. And so one of the things I really focused on even in my practice was helping my patients believe, build hope, and create a mindset that would allow them to heal. And so much of this is based on science, and of course it's based on the Bible. But when you believe you're going to heal an area, let's say for instance I have a patient, they have hypothyroidism. If that patient can see themselves in the future and know my thyroid's regenerating, in fact, the thyroid's new every single year as a gland.
Really?
And knowing, yeah, that the body continually regenerate and heal. Wow. If they know that, they see that, and they start following a plan for that to happen, they heal almost 100% of the time. I help so many patients get off their thyroid medications, or reverse type 2 diabetes, or reverse autoimmune disease where doctors said it could never happen. Well, the biggest factor wasn't necessarily what they ate. It was their mindset of knowing and believing and being able to see that I will be healed.
Dr. Josh, you also talk about, you're just not talking about this, you practice what you preach. You talk about limiting beliefs and transforming beliefs, but you had your own obstacles that you had to overcome back in high school, which led you into what you're doing. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, a couple things. So first one was, when I was in high school, I had a teacher ask me to stay after class. And she said, Josh, what do you want to do after high school? I said, well, I want to be a doctor, because my mom had just the year before been diagnosed with cancer. And I saw the devastating effects of traditional medicine. And she laughed out loud at me, and she said, Josh, listen, with your GPA, you can never get into med school. She said, my own daughter had a 3.8, and she barely got in. She said, how would you get into med school with your GPA? Ouch. And then I was diagnosed soon after with ADHD, and I thought, well, gosh, not only am I not smart, I'm like medically not smart. And so it really affected my self-esteem throughout high school. I really didn't try much, barely graduated, and eventually got into a school I wanted to go to. I only got in, though, because they said, we'll let you in if you get average above a 3.0 in summer school. I went there, and I said, I really want to try this time because I don't want to fail out of college. And so I went and I tried, and it was the same class. So it's English 101 in college rather than high school. Well, the teacher, after I turned in the paper, she said, Josh, what's your major? And I said, well, I haven't chosen one. She said, listen, you're a really talented writer. You got the highest grade in the class. I think you should be a journalism or English major. Great job. And having one teacher tell me that I was capable, that I was smart, that I could do it, it realigned me with my purpose of wanting to be a doctor, which then I eventually went on to Johns Hopkins University. I also became a doctor. And I think there's so many people, John, that have a limiting belief about themselves or about God. And it's keeping them from the breakthrough in their life. It's keeping them from healing. If you don't believe that God's a good God, if you don't believe that God can heal you, it likely won't happen. If you don't believe that God put a healing power inside your body and that you can heal, it's likely not going to happen. So I really believe the biggest thing that's holding people back from a breakthrough in their health, a breakthrough in their relationships, a breakthrough in their career, are limiting beliefs that are affecting their mindset. That's why I wrote the book. And the book really goes into exactly how to create these new mindsets.
You have 12 steps
that help people heal. Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about some of those steps so that people can find practical ways to move beyond some of those limiting beliefs?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll give you an example of one of them, and that is positive perseverance. You know, one of the things I shared when I was on 700 Club is that I was diagnosed with a spinal infection, and this is about 1.5 years ago, and I didn't walk for a full year. That's why you haven't seen me as much. And just now, 6 months ago, I got back to working and going full at it. But when I was in that position, I felt hopelessness, and I'd never experienced that emotion before. And it really put me in touch with the way I think a lot of patients of mine, and maybe even people watching this program, feel at times. If they've had a condition or they've had a problem in their life, and they just don't feel like maybe it's ever going to get better, or they've tried for years and they still haven't experienced a breakthrough. Well, I was in that same position myself. And when I decided and believed, you know what, I'm going to persevere and believe no matter what the obstacles are in my way, that God will heal me and that I will experience a breakthrough. And so I had to really build this sort of resilient mindset of being positive, even when I didn't feel like being positive. A lot of times I wanted to feel like I was a victim, like life was unfair and God was unfair, or even blame God. And I realized that's not serving me. That's not what the Word of God says. So I need to refix my eyes on knowing the goodness of God, that God is the great physician. And when I was able to have that mindset, the positive mindset of knowing and believing the best, I knew that was going to give me the best outcome.
Can you talk, you're very open about faith, so can you talk about the power of prayer and how this also dovetails with the mindset transformation?
Yeah. So I believe that prayer changes us, and I believe in the power of prayer. And I believe, like, my mom today is in her mid-70s. My mom was diagnosed with cancer at 40 years old, so 30, well, it was about 30 years ago. And so, you know, we made the dietary changes. We did a lot of the stuff for her to heal. But I truly believe the greatest healing factor for her was prayer and belief. You know, she would pray for her daily. I would pray for her daily. She would pray, you know, and quote Bible verses constantly. And so I would just say, and even when I had this spinal infection, I mean, I was praying every day. I had some amazing people pray for me. I had Benny Hinn call and pray for me. I had Heidi Baker. I had some amazing pastors and people pray for me. But I prayed as well, believing that God would heal me. So I believe that, you know, God, I mean, I believe that God, you know, ministers to us. And sometimes I think God directly heals us. But I think sometimes via prayer as well, God sends people into our life, divine interventions. Like, for instance, I had a doctor come into my life who taught me some things about healing, and I talk about this a little bit in the book, but I got turned on to infrared light therapy, vitamin IVs, doing a hyperbaric chamber, taking certain vitamins and supplements and things that allowed me to heal. And I wouldn't have known those things if I believe if I didn't pray and God didn't, you know, lead those people into my life. As another example, I think, of the power of prayer.
We only have a few seconds left, but I want to ask you a very practical question. For someone who may be watching and hearing this for the first time, what would you offer as a first practical step, a first beginning start on how to move beyond the mindset?
Well, I would say the first thing is identify what your limiting belief is. What is that thing that you believe negatively about yourself or God? For instance, I can't heal. Identify that, replace it with a new empowering belief that is going to allow you to heal. And I would also say people can pick up a copy of my book, Think This, Not That. Once they buy it, if they go to joshaxe.com, I have a video series, $500 worth of bonuses if they just get this book. But I would say replace the limiting belief, get the book. I think people will experience a breakthrough.
I haven't had a chance to finish it yet, but it is written so conversationally. I think it's open and accessible to anyone. So thank you so much for your time and joining us. You can buy Dr. Josh Axe's latest book, Think This, Not That, wherever books are sold. I encourage you to pick up your own copy. And if you want to find out more on all Josh is doing, you can also head to his website, joshaxe.com. Stay with us for more coming up right after the break.